So, your opinion's pretty extreme.
Yes.
How did you come to this opinion? Because it's very extreme.
Why women deserve less?
Yeah.
So, basically, I came to this conclusion after many years of deliberation and pondering, and I kind of realized that we live in this world where we give women everything that they want without them earning it. We have simps all over the place, guys making thoughts rich, thoughts not having skill sets, not respecting men, not believing in, men being masculine. And quite frankly, we just live in a deregulated sexual marketplace. And obviously this has caused a lot of problems for both genders. I would argue that feminism has actually hurt women more than it's hurt men. Men, we're problem solvers. We find ways to deal with it, whether guys want to go ahead and pay for some box or, go to a foreign country and become a passport bro. Men have been able to figure out and deal with the problem. But I think with women, they haven't. And I think the situation that we have right now where, women find something like 60+% of men is like 80, 90% of men is unattractive. That tells you where we kind of are. And that was years ago from a Cornell study. So I think feminism, if anything, has actually hurt women more than anybody else. And that's kind of where we are when I say women deserve less. It's more about they deserve less because it's going to protect them from themselves, because they don't understand that giving them more actually hurts them. So that's kind of my position on that. And obviously lots of feminists get mad at me for saying this, but I think we need to put them back in the kitchen.
Yeah. That's a very extreme opinion. Why don't you blame the men?
Why don't I blame the men? Well, I do. But the problem is, society already blames men, right? I think with men, if you're a loser, you deal with the consequences of that. Women don't want to deal with you. Guys don't want to be friends with you. No one cares about you. You basically end up becoming invisible. So men have to deal with consequences for inadequacy, but women don't. And I think that's the biggest problem, because we got a bunch of mediocre women running around, and they think that they're entitled to top shelf guys. And I think a big reason for this is because we live in this gynocentric society where we prioritize female wants and female standards over the male standards, right? If a woman is rude and loud, no one cares. But if a guy is meek and weak and doesn't have his money together, we make fun of him. So we don't have the same negative consequences for male inadequacy that we do for female inadequacies. Mm-hmm. So yeah. Yeah? Sure. Oh, what's up, man? These guys don't count. What's up, man? Yeah.
Myron.
Hey, what's up?
Hello.
These are, you want to introduce yourself to the people real quick? These are allies, guys, by the way. Shout out to Shani and his girl.
Hello. Okay, Shayna's good. Okay. Hi, Myron. Oh, hi, I'm Samantha McCarty.
Hi, good to see you again.
I work for Street Polar.
This is Shani's girlfriend, guys.
Yeah, I have a few questions for you.
Sure.
Okay. If feminists had their own country, would they survive?
Hell no.
Why?
Good question. They wouldn't survive because the reality is that women can't actually defend themselves properly. Men have the monopoly of force, and women don't really have the capability to defend themselves against men that might attack them. This is why we have, the military, police, etc. Men have the monopoly of force that allows women to be able to be safe. So, if we had a woman country, it would be taken over within a day, 24 hours.
Yikes. Should an IQ test be required to vote?
That's a good question. I've thought about that myself, whether it be an IQ test or a civic exam. I think for men, right, they would be able to take the test automatically and be able to obviously vote. But for women, I think they'd have to have some other skin in the game to be able to even take the test.
What do you think some of those requirements or factors would be for women?
It would have to be public service, passing the civic test, and then being able to make a bologna sandwich properly.
Bologna?
They could do those three things. I think they should be able to vote.
What are some old-fashioned values that have kind of gone away that should be brought back?
I think men should be the providers. I think they should be the breadwinners. I know that's kind of something that's almost impossible to do nowadays. And I think women should really focus on rearing the children and being at home. But, I think we're too far gone now at this point. I don't think the feminists are going to yield any ground. Now, there's some women I think that are waking up and realizing, like, feminism is a cancer. It's fucking them up. But it'll be very difficult to go backwards. But I do think if we brought simply the nuclear family back, that would handle 80% of the problems.
Would you rather date a liberal or an illegal immigrant?
An illegal immigrant, she at least knows how to make a sandwich.
That's it? That's the only thing?
Yeah, probably that. And then, yeah, it's
True, true.
and she's not going to talk back because she don't speak English. So that's even better.
Do you want me to keep going? Would you rather be misgendered in public or audited by the IRS?
Me be misgendered? Me be misgendered?
Yes.
Or audited by the IRS?
Yep.
Audited by the IRS.
Why?
I got nothing to hide.
So you wouldn't be offended if someone, called you a different type of pronoun?
If they use the wrong pronoun, I wouldn't be offended. It is what it is. I mean, I think the whole concept of pronouns in itself is comical, but, But that's the crazy world we're in now.
What's the bigger threat to America, drag queens or fentanyl?
Drag queens.
Why?
Because drag queens basically make it seem as though it's appropriate and acceptable to cross-dress, read books to kids, and do all the other degenerate behavior that they do. I mean, if it were up to me, I'd give them their own little area in a town or a city where they could just hang out there and do everything that they want to do. Well, I mean, if you don't like that, then that's fine. But, yeah, I think, yes. Yeah, segregation does have, I think segregation does work in some places, yes.
She's a... Oh, yeah. You want to go?
It's fine. Keep going. All right.
She's a 10, but she has her pronouns in her LinkedIn bio.
Sex only.
So she's
Would never
still a
take her
10
seriously.
then?
Oh, no, she goes down to like an 8 or a 9, but actually probably like a 7. But she would be automatically put in the sex only category.
Fair enough.
But yeah,
Thank you so much.
no worries. Who's up next? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely, bro. I'll share it with you. Yeah, guys, if you want to go ahead and have a discussion, you're free to have a discussion. I mean, if you want to heckle from the side, that's fine. But, if you're going to have points or whatever, just say what you got to say. We can have a discussion, no problem. Yes, what's up, man?
Oh, no, I just want to see what you got going on.
Oh, you want to see the sign?
Yeah, let's see. Women deserve less.
Women deserve less. Change my mind, yes.
Why do you think women deserve less?
Well, there's a bunch of different reasons, but I would say to make it nice and simple, we got too many simps out here.
What's the constant variable of what they currently have of deserving that they should deserve less of?
Oh, look, she flipped the middle finger off. She's so mad. Can't defend your ideas. Just got to put a middle finger up, I see. So, sorry, what was that question?
So, yeah, I said, what's that constant variable that women currently deserve that have that you think they should have less of? What's that they have right now that they're getting?
What is it that they have?
That they're getting.
Oh, man.
Of
Well,
deserving.
here's the thing. They get preferential treatment. They're able to be treated like a lady while simultaneously being able to behave like men with almost zero consequence. They could basically double dip. So another can enjoy the benefits of being treated like a lady, right? Enjoy chivalry and, traditional male standards like men treating them like ladies, while simultaneously they can also behave rude, erratic, crass, with zero consequence.
Can't men do the same thing?
No, we can't.
No.
We're actually held to standards unlike women.
You think so?
Yes.
What backs that up?
For example, you, right? How old are you?
I'm 20.
You're 20. So who do you think is going to have more value in society, you or a 20-year-old girl?
Depends which 20-year-old girl, because me, physically, I work my ass off and I'm, focused and do what I need to do. I'm sure there's a woman that's 20 years old that does the same thing.
Okay, here's
and
the
I'm sure
beauty.
There's a majority that
You
don't
said you
do
work
that.
your ass off, right?
Of course.
Why do you work your ass off?
I mean, because I don't ever want to have my mom working a day in her life. That's all
Cool.
it is.
So there's a burden of performance on you, right? You have to work.
I have to. No one has to work.
Well, if you didn't work, your status would decrease. Fair?
Not necessarily. Nowadays, no.
Yeah, it would decrease. So the reason why you're working is because you kind of know it's like an unspoken reality that men have to perform. But if I took a 20-year-old girl, she doesn't have to work. You do. That's my point.
I mean, working is one thing, because women, they can work in other ways. It doesn't just have to be like a 9 to 5, making money. They can work in supporting, and doing
Working
things
what?
around the house.
Working what?
They don't have to work
Turn up the
monetarily.
speaker. You got to turn up the speaker. Because it's coming in very, very low. Yeah, let's turn up that speaker. Sorry.
For example, if you have a team of people, not every single person is just bringing in money. Someone helps someone else to support them throughout their daily life, to assist them to make that money. So let's say if I had a woman that was, living with me, and she was my girlfriend, she doesn't need to make money as long as she makes my life easier to be able to make money. And that's just as much as a help as me making money.
Here's the difference. It wouldn't work the other way around. That's my point. If she worked and you helped her out behind the scenes,
why not?
It probably wouldn't work. Because women don't like to provide for men long term.
It depends on the situation, depends on the person.
90+% of women do not want to be a breadwinner for a man ever.
That's
ever.
not true.
That's propaganda, feminist propaganda. Women, if they out-earn their man or they're in a position where they're in a leadership role, there's a very high likelihood they will leave you.
My mother's a perfect example of that. It's the complete opposite, so I don't
Is she
agree.
with your dad still?
Of course.
Okay, and how long they been married?
They got married, high school sweethearts, since they were, I believe, 18. They got married, moved here together.
And was your mom the breadwinner the entire time?
They were 50-50.
Okay, and then what is it now? Now she's the breadwinner?
At first, it was my dad. Well, basically, my mom went to school, my dad worked. Then my mom worked because she got her degree, and
He
my
put her
dad
through school.
Then went to school, and now they both work. And I would say that my mom has a more consistent and makes more money than my dad, and that completely discredits to a point of what you're saying, because there's a degree where my dad wasn't working, assisting her.
Well, you also got to understand that anecdotal evidence, like based on your own personal experience, doesn't necessarily reflect the rest of the
No, I
world. So
agree.
though that might be your situation with your parents, which is great, a lot of the times that's just not the reality. And the other thing also that you need to understand is that your father was the breadwinner for a significant amount of time in the relationship.
How do you know it's significant? What if I say 2 years?
Well, those 2 years is where she was able to go to school, right?
And vice versa when he went to school.
Okay, but he put her through school. So he allowed her to basically be able to go to school, and
she
he
put him through school. Yes,
That's
they both
very
put
important.
Each other through school.
That's very, very important. That's a pertinent fact to the situation. But again, like I said before, women, right, are not going to provide long-term for men the same way that men will provide long-term for women. Also, I think it's important to understand that your parents had a longer relationship. So by the time that everything planned out and she's being the breadwinner, she's a bit older. She might not be able to enter the dating marketplace the same
Can you
level.
elaborate on the word provide?
I'm sorry?
Can you elaborate on what you mean by provide?
You said she was the majority breadwinner, right?
Disregard what my situation was in my family. I want you to elaborate and describe what you mean providing, a woman providing is. What do you see that as?
The reality is this, man. So I know this is considered politically incorrect to say this, but most women do not want to be the breadwinner for men. They just don't. Now, they'll sit there and have the feminist propaganda and say, I'm a boss bitch and I'll make a bunch of money and I'll do X, Y, Z. But the reality is when women say I'm independent, you got to ask yourself, who are they independent of? It's men. They do that to say, I don't need a man, and they make that money for themselves. When a man makes money, he says, how can I have a family? When a woman makes money, she says, I don't need a man. Completely different mindsets when we make a certain amount of money.
So providing, essentially, you're talking about monetarily when it comes to money.
Yes, when it comes to, yes, being a breadwinner. Men are far more comfortable and built to provide for women than women are for men. If a woman is in a provider situation, the likelihood of that relationship falling apart is very high. Now, there's some situations like yours where it was able to work. But I do think it's important to understand that your dad had a bit of equity there where he helped her get to the position that she's at. So there's some level of reciprocity there now that, she's making the money. But in most situations, women are not okay with providing long-term for men, especially now.
So on a follow-up question, you're talking about providing as a woman or a man is just monetary. What would success look like for you as a human being?
For me?
As a human being, what does success look like?
Having a nuclear family, having a woman that respects you and obeys you. You make the decisions, you're the head of the household, and bringing it back to what it was before. But this whole equal partnership stuff that we push out there, it's not true. It's all a lie.
So you're saying being able to support and have a woman that supports you is what success looks like for you as a human being?
Yes, you support financially, and obviously you're the bedrock, and she takes care of the children in the home, and have defined gender roles. I think that's very important.
And as a person, what would you be happy with yourself? Let's say you're on your deathbed and you're looking back. What would you look back on and say, wow, that was success?
I think when you're looking at your deathbed, the only thing that matters, when you're on your deathbed, the only thing that matters looking back is, did you create a legacy and do you have a family? I think you want to be on that deathbed with people surrounding you that you've helped create to some degree.
So what if, let's say, on my deathbed, I have $100 million there, and when I look back, I was like, damn, I was a shitty person. You know, I didn't do a lot of things. I wasn't so wise. I wasn't so kind. But instead, you maybe had that same amount of money, but you had a woman that instilled those values in you and your family. I think that's worth more than any $100 million could count for.
I agree. I think less money in a family is far more important than more money and no family. I agree.
And a woman brings that.
I agree. All right, thank you. Who's up next? He is? Sure, whoever wants to come up next.
I'm gonna come on.
What's up?
How you doing?
Yo.
I can do that. Just adjust this. Just adjust this. So yeah, just hold that. I got it. I did this for a little while. I know. So that's your book, Why Women Deserve Less?
Yes.
Why?
Why?
Yeah. I just want context. So as we talk, I want to understand your mindset. So we're gonna have a debate or a conversation. I want to make sure.
Well,
you understand.
I think men simp on women too much. I think that's one of the main ones. I think a lot of guys don't make women earn their keep, and we've created a pretty shitty marketplace for that. That's created a lot of issues.
So you think men have created it, or the women have created that?
Both parties are responsible to a degree.
Okay.
Both have their contributions
Okay.
to the deregulation and the problems that we have.
So do you think what specifically made you come to this whole concept of women deserve less?
Many years of pondering.
That's it?
Many years of pondering,
You
yes.
married?
Many years of
You
pondering.
married?
No.
You got a baby mama?
No.
No kids?
No.
You don't want kids?
Not right now. But in the future,
How old
yes.
are you? How old are you?
35.
Okay. You got time.
Yeah.
You got till 55 and you good. So you can go crazy. I just need to understand. I'm trying to understand why, because none of your rationale right now makes sense at all. That's because you're telling me what you think, and I'm telling you what I think right now. So it just doesn't make sense.
All right,
And
what
you were
doesn't make sense?
So you talked to the young man about him, his parents. He had a great, because that's his world. His mom actually makes more money than his dad, but they've been together since they were 15, 18. I don't know what he said.
I don't know how long.
But I think the whole concept of him saying that is a lot of people who experience, and there's nothing wrong with that, because at the end of the day, they helped each other to make that beautiful young man be able to have a conversation with you.
Yeah, but we also have to be realistic and understand that that's not the norm. Most women are not okay with being breadwinners in a relationship. And then obviously when he explained it a bit more, it made a bit more sense, because his father was in a breadwinner position and then assisted his mom with being able to go to school.
They assisted each other. They assisted each other.
Yes, he was the breadwinner for a period of time to allow his mom
she went
to go
to
to school.
And then they flipped it.
Exactly.
Which was great. They had to understand it, right?
Yes, but that's not
communication.
the norm, and that's not what typically happens. I mean, you know, we have a very high divorce rate. We have a lot of the decline of marriage in America, and I don't blame the guys for not getting married, because there's not really much benefit now getting married for a man.
So it's not any benefit for being married for a man?
Virtually none, no. I mean, I think that there's any benefit. I mean, I'll ask you this. What benefit does a guy get from marrying a woman that he doesn't get from just being in a regular long-term relationship?
Depends on what you want.
Okay,
so
well,
a benefit,
what those benefits
let's go through let's go. Some men just want an arm piece. Some men want somebody they can grow old with. Some men want somebody they can make money with. Some
you can
men
do all that without being married.
No.
That's my point.
No, we're talking about benefits. That's all. No, we're just talking about benefits. If you decided, when you decide to get married,
all right, let me ask the question again.
Okay.
What I asked you was, what benefit do men get from getting married from a woman that they otherwise would not get from just being in a regular relationship? There's none. It's a trick question. There's almost none.
But that's personal though. That it's personal why a person gets married.
I would say that's fairly. I mean, like I said before, if they choose to get married, that's one thing. But they're not getting any real benefits for doing
Right,
so.
they're choosing to get married,
but they don't get benefits. If anything, they get
liability. The only reason you get married because you're in love with the person, or you have some religious reason that you get married.
Again, I'm speaking very pragmatically, and I'm giving you a pragmatic situation, and you're responding with kind of an emotional response. I'm saying that with men,
hold on 1 second.
There's no benefit.
Just because I raise my voice doesn't make me emotional. That makes you're talking like a woman now.
No, I'm actually just telling you very pragmatically.
That doesn't make me. I'm just talking.
I'm telling you very pragmatically.
hey, I'm big, my voice raises, you might get intimidated a little bit.
Not
We're
at
just
all.
having fun. I'm enjoying this. This is where I stop because I think you're amazing.
Yeah.
I want to tell you you're amazing.
I'm just saying, pragmatically speaking, there's no benefit to a man getting married in the West anymore. There's almost none.
So
If anything, it's only downside. And I asked you, can you name one thing that a man would get as a benefit from getting married in this day and age? And you mentioned some things, but those things can all be attained in a regular relationship without getting married.
But again, you can't, that's fine, you can say that, but that's a choice. It's still a choice. I get what you're saying.
I asked
I'm
a
not
very
disagreeing.
direct question. And
No. I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying. But
Okay.
also on my side, that's still a choice. Like if I decide to get married to her right now because she's beautiful and I love curly hair,
Okay.
and that's my thing, so what? You can't tell me no different. And if I feel good about that, cool. At some point we get divorced, that's my fault because I chose her. I didn't talk to her.
Okay.
I didn't get to
think
know
we've
her.
reached kind of an impasse here. Who's up next?
Oh, man. I got kicked out.
What's up?
Hello, how are you?
What's up, man? How are you? Chilling?
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So you already know.
How
Another
would-
day in office.
How would
What's
you
up, man?
Good, how are you?
How are you?
How would you define like deserve? When you mean deserve less, monetarily, in what way do you mean they deserve less?
It could be a multitude of different things. I mean, what is your? Tell me what you're thinking, and what we could kind of go off what you're thinking.
I'll go off you. You're the one that says they deserve less.
Well, you came up here, so.
All right. So
Go ahead.
I would say for you, maybe it means like monetarily or love or emotionally. I'm raised in a Middle Eastern
I mean,
family, but
money is one thing. I think it's a bunch of different things. I think it's time, attention, resources,
Okay.
money. It could be a multitude of different things. I think a lot of guys simply simp on women for no reason.
okay, that I probably agree with you.
Okay.
But in the sense of deserve, when someone says deserve, there's a value of a man and a woman. Do you think it's different?
The value between a man and a woman?
I mean, deserve kind of comes with some. There's some. If you say, as a person, something deserves less, either they're a bad person or there's something to them that means they're lesser than. Unless you think people are just not born equally.
Yeah, the reason why I say deserve less is because the status quo is to give them everything.
The status quo is to give them everything.
Yes.
To women.
Yes.
You think so?
The accepted modality of dealing with women is being a simp nowadays, and I tell guys not to do that, and also be an extreme gentleman, and I don't think extreme gentleman to women anymore in today's day and age.
Extreme. It shouldn't be extreme gentlemen to women.
Like treating a woman like it's 1950 when she doesn't behave like it's 1950, in other words. So you're a traditional guy, you're being chivalrous, but she's not necessarily a traditional woman.
Wouldn't it be that subjective to the women? It wouldn't be all women? for
Of course, every situation is different, but I
Right.
would argue that most women nowadays, modern women, adoption of modern feminism that, quite frankly, makes it in a situation where it's maybe not in your best interest to practice chivalry with them. I think it's earned. The point I'm trying to
Earned,
make here
yeah.
is that they need to earn that gentleman treatment from you.
They need to earn that gentleman treatment.
Absolutely, yes.
So it shouldn't start, gets lost. It has to be earned from the beginning.
Yes, and there's a multitude of different ways to assess this, but yes, I think guys need to reserve treating women like ladies in the beginning so that they don't get taken advantage of.
Do you think in some cases it would be better to learn the hard way? I mean, if you think about it, women are obviously
Sure.
maybe
Now-
not stronger. Men are obviously more masculine.
Mm-hmm.
In most cases, you probably, as a man, the value is to take care of somebody, build a family. You're protecting. That's
Well,
traditional value.
Here's the thing. Some guys, a lot of guys do learn the hard way, and a lot of guys
Yeah.
are stubborn. They have to learn the hard way. They have to get burned a
Great.
few times to realize that the stove is hot. Now, smart people learn from their mistakes. Wise people learn from other people's mistakes. So I put the information out there. If they choose to want to still experiment and get burned, that's fine. But at least they have the ability to know that that information was there, and at least I could connect some dots for them, because a lot of guys, what ends up happening is they make the mistake, they don't know what happened, what led to it, and then they put a gun in their mouth and they want to end it all because they weren't able to figure out what's going on. So I do think that it's important to have that information out there, and if they decide to take it, cool. If they don't, that's fine. But a lot of the times they'll go make the mistake, then they'll come back and say, yeah, he was right. Let me go back and look at this. Let me re-examine this. So I think having that information there is very important.
Agreed. But wouldn't that mean it's not that women would deserve less, but rather how you choose your woman or the person beside you? It's not instinctively the woman that deserves less.
No, I think every guy needs to approach a woman from a position of she needs to earn her keep.
So they don't deserve less. They just need to show for what they deserve.
You can make that argument. But again, like I said, status quo is to come in, assuming they deserve less,
Yeah.
and then let her prove you wrong.
So as in the man's the value.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. Well. Okay.
Absolutely. I mean, this whole concept of women are the prize is garbage. It's a lie.
You don't think so?
No.
Are
not
you?
at all.
Are you? Can I ask you if you're religious by chance?
No, I'm not religious. No.
Okay. I'm not sure how familiar with the Quran, but there's a hadith that says the.
Yeah. Water? Can I get some water? Yeah.
I'm not sure how familiar you are, but there's a.
I'm not religious, man. So I mean, using a hadith and
Yeah.
stuff like that isn't really the way to
No,
go.
but I know, but,
But-
I'm just trying to see what you think of it. It says that the gates of paradise
Uh-huh.
behold under the foot of the mother, and just kind of showing the importance of a mother. What's your opinion of mothers?
Well, remember that the Quran and these hadiths were written at a time when women obeyed men and actually respected male authority. They don't anymore.
You don't think so?
They don't. Absolutely, they don't.
Maybe on average, sure, it's a little less.
Absolutely,
but,
they don't.
But in that time, it was a little different. I would agree with you, but a
No,
mother's
it's way
still a mother.
different. Women respected male authority, so they don't anymore, and that's the problem. So
But
what
don't
I'm
you
saying
think
is
it
that
was
we got to
forced on
deal with,
before?
and this is the problem with religion a lot of the times, is religion doesn't equip men to properly deal with modern day females.
Modern day females.
Yeah, it does not equip you to deal with it because modern day women are not the women of the book. Whether it's Judaism, Christianity, Islam, the religions, unfortunately, the Abrahamic religions do not account for modernity with the way women behave now.
Sure, there's
unfortunately.
definitely a difference between women.
Now,
those
if you
days
find a
and today,
religious woman
but-
of the book and she follows it, that's one thing.
Yeah.
But that's very difficult to find.
So there you go. So there's a point where a woman can show they deserve something, but it's more
For
of
sure.
they don't deserve less. It's just that some of them have lost the true nature of
What
women.
I'm saying is that men need to enter every relationship with women skeptical and assume that they deserve less unless they prove that they deserve more. That's what I'm saying.
All
And
right.
there's nothing wrong with that because men have to perform.
Yep.
You have to come up to her, tell a funny joke,
Yep,
be interesting, be charismatic, be charming. Why can't we put standards on women? I'm simply telling guys to put standards on women because we don't put standards on them. That's why they behave the way that they do.
So just no unconditional value to women is essentially what you're saying. Not that they deserve less, just don't be unconditional to what just because they're a woman.
What I'm saying is approach it from a skeptical standpoint
Yep.
and assume she deserves less unless she proves that she deserves more. That's what I'm saying.
All right. Well, that
Which,
actually-
interestingly enough,
we
I
can
hope
go
you know,
with
this is how women
completely
deal with
deserve
men.
less. Yeah.
This
Agreed.
is
Agreed.
precisely how
No,
women,
for sure,
women deal
agreed.
with men from an adversarial perspective of what can he provide for me.
Yeah. What can you do? What he
Yeah.
brings. What his
Versus men
future.
are so stupid to come into a relationship and say, oh, what can I provide for her? How can I go ahead and help her out? They don't come in with that same mindset. I'm simply telling men to treat women the way they treat us when it comes to the beginning of a relationship. And I would argue men have way more skin in the game when they deal with women, so it behooves us to move with skepticism when we deal with them.
Do you think like the love of a woman?
Who's
is,
up
is
next,
a
though?
value?
Because we got a lot of people
Yeah,
here.
you're good.
I see. Do we got a line? We got a line, right? All right. So let's get some other
Appreciate it.
people on. Thank you. Thank you. No worries, man. Appreciate you. Hi.
What's up, bro? Seen all
How
the
are you?
pods. It's crushing.